Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Today, the Power of Woman program I dedicate for women. And I want to point out that good planning helps reduce stress and manage, well, not only the company, but also the family. And here is a great role of women in cooperation with men. And today, my guest is Professor Allan Hedberg. Welcome and
Hello
thank you
there.
for
Thank
your
you.
time.
It's good to be with you. It's a great topic we're going to talk about today. I think it's important to the people of Poland, and it's certainly important to the people in America.
Everywhere.
This is,
It's very important to connect to women and men. And maybe I little bit introduce you. The Professor Allan Hedberg is the author of 14 books and 150 articles. And the producer TV show, Doctor Teach Me to Parent, subject, expertise, psychology, mental health, behavior analysis, and behavior change. Professor Allan Hedberg has published the many articles about the topics such as addictive behavior problems, marriage and family, enrichment, the aging brain, depression, and leadership. It's amazing how many topics you...
Well, those are all very important topics to the family. They're very important topics for our own personal success and achievement. We want to do well in what we do. We want to be a good parent. We want to be a good spouse. We want to be a good worker. We want to be a good boss, employer. So these books are kind of written to make sure that the reader has opportunity to advance himself in whatever area he's interested in. And it's not just for women, but for men and for families. And what I always recommend is that when you get a book, you read a little bit, and then you talk about it with your wife or your husband, and you have a little discussion. Because then that takes what you're reading and makes it into real life. And then you apply it to your home life, or you apply it to your marriage, you apply it to your friendships, and that's the way to use a book, to make sure that the book, it doesn't matter of reading a book. That's not the important thing. What's important is that you take something from it.
Discussion.
And you have some application.
Sometimes one sentence, one word changes us life.
That's necessary. I was reading about a man who reads a book a day, one book every single day. And he reads like 300 and some books a year. And I said, how do you do that? So I tried it myself. I can't read a book a day. There's no way I can do that. So I cheated a little bit. So I read like the first chapter, maybe the second chapter, and then the last chapter, and then maybe a chapter in the middle. And, okay, I haven't read the book, but I got the overview.
Yes.
What the author was trying to say and what the author was, writing. And you can always go back and look up some details if you want. And that way I was able to read a book a day. I did it for a while. I didn't do it real long, but I did it for a while by just kind of reading that little synopsis. And that's how you do it. You can read a book a day.
You change your perspective. I always doing in the Sunday, I choose like 10 books and I put close to my sofa in the small table,
yes.
10 of books, every week different. And every time I have time and I drink coffee or tea, I just sit and I open one book and I doing same like you. I just read the chapters and sometimes I have different idea about life, how to change my life, how to help somebody. And I see how the word is beautiful because many albums I read too.
See, it isn't a matter of reading the book. It's a matter of getting an idea.
Yes.
And then taking that idea and then using it somehow or applying it in some area of your life. Now you've really made use of that book.
Yes.
So there are people who just think maybe just reading a book is important. Well, that's just going through words.
Yes.
But take the idea, do something with it, and then move on and get another idea. And then move on and get another idea.
And trust always that the writer
That's right.
wants give you always the best. And the writer, before write the books and finish the book, need to spend many hours, many months, many years sometimes, to study the many books and articles and studies the life and to be professional.
There we are. That's right.
I have first question for you. How important is the cooperation between a woman, a man, wife, and husband for the family?
Oh, in other words, the way that husband and wife cooperate with each
Yes.
other, talk to each other,
Yes.
plan together,
Yes.
think together, work
Yes.
together, discipline their kids together, guide their children together, all that. Hugely important. Very, very, very big factor today in our world, and even more so today because our world is more complex. Our children have more options. Children have to make very hard choices. They have factors operating in the life of a child that were not operating 10, 25 years ago. The opportunities for a child to self-destruct is greater. The opportunities for a child to succeed is greater. So a child's future, in a large part, is dependent upon mother and dad talking together, planning together, and then cooperating with that plan and carrying it out and making sure that it's effective. So if you look at it from the point of view of family, it's very important that mom and dad talk together and cooperate.
Same.
Because the child is the one that's going to benefit.
Yes.
And the future of that child is going to be much more pronounced and successful if the parents cooperate. If they don't cooperate, that child is left to make his own decisions in life. That child is left to just decide how to live life. And children are not able to do that. They don't have the brain power. They don't have the brain development, maturity to make that decision. They don't have the experience to make that decision. They depend upon mother and dad to plan together, think together, cooperate together in carrying out a plan for not only the good of the marriage and good of the parents, that's true, but for the good of the children or for that child. So if you look at it from the sake of who benefits, when mother and dad cooperate, the child is the one that benefits. And that child is more likely then to succeed. And of course, life is going to be a little bit more routine or a little bit more smooth or a little bit more likely to be pleasant, for everybody.
Especially now when it's COVID, we need to cooperate each other. Then the child is lost in home. And this is the different situation for all of us, especially for younger generation.
Well, I look at it this way, is that, the COVID thing has been a difficult thing for every family. But it's no different than any other issue that family's life has to face.
Yes.
The drug pressure is the same. You got to make a decision about that, and you have to kind of live your life so that you aren't overwhelmed by it and overtaken by it. So that's a pressure. There are events that take place in the child's life. They go to school and maybe not have a good experience, maybe have a very bad teacher for that year. I mean, mother and dad have to kind of deal with that, and they have to plan that thing out and work it out. So family life is always confronting a problem area in some way. And it just happens to be COVID now. I mean, this is not
all the time.
It's not a big deal. This just happens to be the issue of the day. But next year will be something different. In the following year will be something different. Mom and dad have to take whatever the issues are of the day, educate themselves, plan, think it through, and then come up with a plan for the family of how we shall live.
Parents always need to be parents. Doesn't matter what's happening outside. We are always parents.
Right. I always like the phrase in terms of parenting, how now shall we live? So, okay, now COVID came into our life, how now shall we live? Okay? When the drug culture really warmed up and became very intense and very overpowering to the family, mother and dad have to sit down and say, okay, now how shall we live? Which involves not only how we shall live as parents, but how shall we discipline our children? How shall we manage our children? How shall we control our children? How shall we encourage our children? What directions we should give our children? Every year, every part of life, we have to do that. It's not just the COVID thing. I think we've given that COVID thing too much attention. It's really a lot of other factors that enter into the life of a child and a family.
Many people give me just this question, how we survive in the COVID. I always tell the people, do you know my answer? Where I am from Poland, when it's second war and people survive and immediately learn how to survive what you tell.
There you are.
Now, and this
that was a major thing for the families, and
Yes.
it went on for a long time.
Yes.
And but the families that face it together, the families that cooperated, the families that planned together, the families that stuck together and worked on that are the ones that came through the war the best.
Yes. How does this affect our work? Because I believe it's my amazing and lovely topic is the love and work. Because if we have in home love and we have good relationship with the family and husband and children, we go work, we have give the in work in office we give the same energy. If we have the good energy where we work, we come back and we have the best energy in home, because this is the balance in
That's
life.
right.
How is the important to relationship, good relationship, the woman and man to give to the work and job for when entrepreneurs, women, to be good boss?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question, because it's always a balance that we have to live our life. We work, that's true. There were years where women didn't work very much, and the men are the ones that worked. But now it's a little bit more balanced. It's almost equal. So we have to think it through even more in terms of how to live a life at home and how to live a life in the workplace. And that one doesn't get overpowered from the other. And that's what you have to kind of remember, is that you're trying to keep these things in balance. And I think that's where husband and wife talk to each other. It's when they say to each other, look, I think you're spending too much time at work, or I think you're not spending very much time with the children or at home, and to give each other feedback so that you self-correct at different times and make sure that there is this good balance that's maintained. But if you don't talk to each other, then it can get too much of one way or the other. But I think it's a very interesting research study that was done when it showed that when parents work 80 hours a week, that's 40 hours for her and 40 hours for him.
Yes.
That's 80 hours a week. The children of that marriage will have trouble. They won't succeed in school. They'll have social trouble. They'll have community trouble. They'll be in trouble with the law. They'll be in trouble with drugs. They'll be in trouble in a lot of different ways of life because the parents are out of balance. They don't spend enough time in the home with the children. They're spending time at work and then trying to be a parent besides. You can't be that way. But the parents that work only 60 hours, that's like one that works 40 and the other one works 20, those kids do pretty well because mom and dad are able to spend time at home together and be with the children and be with the kids and have a family life where you can't do that when you're both working full time. But then they compared it to the families where husband worked 40 hours and the wife was at home. Or she worked 40 hours and he was at home. But only 40 hours of work between them. Those children did the best. They did well in school. They did well socially. They did well in their community. They succeeded. They had a good future. So it is a matter of balance. It's a matter of making sure you don't spend too much time in one place or the other, but that you can put this into reasonable balance. That's what parents have to kind of remember, is that you have to talk about that. You have to plan that together. You can't just do your thing as a father or do your thing as a mother or a husband. You have to make sure that you think together, you plan together, and you work out a schedule that's for the good of the family. Not for my good or for my wife's good, but for the good of the family. That's what's important.
This is important. I choose the balance when I work very hard, and I am workaholic when I work in Poland in media, and my son is very young. I work 50 hours or 60 hours per week, but I make a little bit different. I teach his to discipline. What's mean, before I come home, he clean the house, he make his lunch, and he doing his homework. When I come back home, I just take shower and we go to the bicycle, we go for swimming, etc., etc.
Sure, you spent your time with him then.
Yes.
So he had undivided attention.
The planning, it's important too.
You plan it to be that way.
Yes, I planning to be with him when I come back from my job, from the radio or TV, and this work. But everything is about planning and good management time. What's is next question?
You know, that's a very important topic. Excuse me, a very important thing you brought that up, because in America, we place a lot of emphasis on planning. Companies plan. They have days where they just plan.
Yes.
We plan our future. We develop goals for the next 5 years. You know, we think of how we're going to reach those goals. We have plans for the social groups that we're part of, the organizations that we belong to. We get together and plan our future, plan our year, what we're going to do. America is a planning country. And when we plan, we then tend to reach goals, because a goal without a plan isn't going to get you anywhere.
Yes.
So you have to have the plan and the goal, and you have to bring that together. And so when you plan at work, you plan in all areas of your life, you're going to plan at home too.
Yes.
And that's what's important, is that you learn to plan, and then you apply it in the home situation, because what's important? Your home's important. So plan to make sure it goes well.
We always talking then the relationship with the husband and wife is like a big job when you want to good cooperation.
Oh, sure.
But same with the family. I believe that the family needed planning, like the business plan in your company. And this doesn't matter, this is your company or your family.
Yeah.
You need to make the plan. And doesn't planning reduce stress level? It's my next question.
Well, I think it does reduce your stress, because when you plan, then there are things that you do not do. Mm-hmm. And then there are things that you do. That's important for goals. If you have a goal and you decide, I'm going to reach this goal, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to have this amount of money, or I'm going to do this activity, or I'm going to achieve this particular project, you would then make that decision of what you don't do, because that will not help you get to your goal. But then you also make the decision of what you will do. So goal attainment, goal achievement depends on those two factors, what you don't do and what you do. And that means you got to plan that way. You got to think that way. You got to work that way. You have to organize your day. You have to organize your schedule that way, so you don't get off the track. And then goals will be attained. Whether it's a goal for your family, or a goal for your job or in your work situation, or a goal for whatever area of life that you're involved in. Goal is an important goal living. Goal living is important, but then make that decision, what you're not going to do. That's probably more important.
Yes.
Because that will only just take you away from your goal.
Yep, and we have more time. How should parents cooperate with each other? Because I know many people who ask me, the problem is when my child go to father and ask father, can you give me money for shopping? No, because you don't finish your homework. Go to mother, can you give me the money for shopping? Yes, I give you, and you go. How important is to be together and cooperate with any decision?
That will destroy a family.
I know.
That will destroy the child. That will destroy the marriage. Because once father and mother find out that they're working against each other, they'll be mad, there'll be conflict, and it will be very hard for them to live a life together. Eventually they're going to have to make a decision. You're going to do it mother's way, you're going to do it father's way. And if they can't work it out, then often divorce happens, as a result of that kind of behavior and that kind of thinking. And for the child, you're teaching a child to do that in life. If you don't get your way with one person, you go somewhere else. And if you get married, if you don't get your way, then you go marry someone else until you do get your way. If you have a job and you want your way, fine. But if you can't have your way, then you leave and go somewhere else. So you're living a life where you're always moving around and changing because you want your way. And that is no way to live. The way to live is, how do you help other people achieve their goals? How do you help other people live a life that's effective and satisfying? And you live a life that's effective and satisfying also. But you can't have your way. And that's why mom and dad have to stop that kind of behavior. You can't let the child go between and have different answers. The best thing to do is to say, look, I don't know what I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to talk to mom. We'll talk about it, and we'll get back to you. That's how to do it. Or mom says, look, if you talk to dad and whatever dad says, that's what we're going to do.
This is the great.
But dad and I will talk about it, and if we have a different point of view or if we come up to a different decision, we'll let you know. But that's how to handle that. Mom and dad got to get away, got to go to their own room, get out of the house, take a car, drive, do something else, talk about that situation, and then get back to the child, and now you come back with a unified answer. That's how to handle that.
This is the great answer. And in this point, I propose here your books. One of your books about emotional intelligence.
Yes, emotional intelligence is, let me just tell you a little bit about that. Living a life well lived is very important, but it's the idea of how do you relate to people emotionally, but very smartly. It's something we call that street smart, making good decisions, being compassionate towards others, being considerate of other people's feelings and other people's wishes and desires, being more socially comfortable and letting people know that you like them and you talk and you are able to converse. That's part of emotional intelligence. Being empathetic,
yes.
Caring, being sorry for the life that certain people live. We need those kind of behavior patterns, being responsible, taking on a task, getting it done, being responsible in it. Very, very important. That's emotional intelligence.
Yes.
So that when you live a life of emotional intelligence, you're really living a life that's smart for yourself, but beneficial to other people. And it's on the screen in front of you, the name of the book.
Yes.
And you can get that at Barnes & Noble. You can get that at Amazon.
Great.
You can call my office and get it, from there. But school systems, this is important because school systems have taken a book like that, taught it to their students, and what they find is over the course of the year, less conflict, less fighting, better achievement, better relationships with kids. They're more caring, they're more thoughtful of each other. In other words, the whole class just kind of becomes more positive.
I have idea from Poland. We have in school, in primary school, we have the topic, the one time per week, intelligent emotional.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And I propose to American government, good for us. Good. I propose to all American government, hello. I have idea to invite Professor Allan Hedberg to the school, to the class, one time per month, and professor doing the special lesson about intelligent emotional. And the children, the students learn how to change behavior, how to live better. And this is work from Poland. I tell you, the children change after 2 months, his
Yes.
life change, his relationship with the parents, with the teachers, and have better points to learn because understand the life and it's much more better and work.
There was a study done in New York, Upper New York, and it was the same thing. They had several schools that used emotional intelligence as a lesson, and they did it for about 6 weeks. And every day they taught a little bit about emotional intelligence, and they compared it to a group of schools that did not teach emotional intelligence. So they looked at the amount of conflict in those two schools,
Yes.
the kids fighting with each other. Enormous difference. They looked at the achievement scores in those two different groups of schools. Enormous difference. So the emotional intelligence group always came out on top, always did the better, because they were taught to be thoughtful, be respectful, be empathetic, be caring, be responsible, achieve, work towards the best that you possibly can, be self-fulfilling.
I have idea. We develop next show, Intelligent Emotional, and we're doing together the beautiful job for all of you. And we're doing lecture.
I would welcome that. That would be a great opportunity. Good idea, by the way.
This will be great. And now I invite you to little bit break.
Seniors can oftentimes have feelings of loneliness, loss, and sadness. Now is the time to motivate your mind and body. World-renowned author and motivator Katarzyna Dorosz can help mature adults renew their lives. With her selection of self-help books now available on Amazon, seniors can learn how to feel happy again, more independent, and enjoy what life has to offer. Older children can learn how to help their parents, improve their life habits, and be happy again. For more information, visit our website, purchase our books on Amazon, and learn to be positive for the rest of your life.
back the program who I dedicate especially for women who work, for men of course too. If you're listening us, this will be pleasure. And my guest today is the Professor Allan Hedberg, and we have nice time to explain to people and talk each other how we have possibility improve the human and family life to change the habits and take the better behavior. You know, life is easy and not easy, and this is your choice how you management your life. We just finished a topic about management time, how help to management the family. We just finished talking about the management, the woman, men cooperate, husband and wife, and the mother and father. And next, my question is, what is the role of woman in the family?
That's an interesting question because it's changed over time. The role of the mother, the woman in the family, at one time was kind of secondary. It was kind of passive. She was at the direction of the husband, of the father in the home. He basically ran the home in the American culture. That's different in other cultures. But she was an implementer. She was just to implement what he wanted to have as a family life. And she was under his direction. That's how America ran itself years in the past. Over the last 30 years, we've seen that change a little bit. And now women are becoming much more equal, if you will, in their decision making, but also in the degree to which they are responsible for the children. If mother's working now, there was a day when only 20% of the women worked. Mm-hmm. Now it's about 40 to 45% of the women that work. So that it's a much more likely to have women working today, which means then it's a shared responsibility in the home. Now we have to talk. Now we have to plan, together.
Yes.
Now we have to kind of divide up the tasks. Now we have to chip in, both of us. Both of us have to do some cooking. Both of us have to do some cleaning. Both of us have to take kids to the doctor. Both of us on different schedules. We have to think together and we have to work together. So we're in a different world today in America with the women now working and more likely, to be working. So therefore, children now have to listen to mother, having the same weight of authority as the father. And that's good. It's created some problems, obviously. Some families have trouble incorporating both, and kids have trouble responding to mother and responding to father differently. So I always like the idea that when mother and dad sit down together with the child and say this, when I speak, it's the same as mother speaking. When mother speaks, it's the same as me.
Remember.
And I'm speaking. We're equal. And you are expected to carry out what we say equally. You don't give me more importance than you give mother. And that's what a parent needs to do, is to make sure that children understand that parents are taking equal responsibility, equal authority in the home, and when they speak together. And they live that way, and they carry out decisions that way. But beyond that, then mother's role in kind of a unique way, I always see that as the soft role. The role of the mother is to help develop kindness, develop thoughtfulness, develop carefulness, develop the ability to share and cooperate. I call it the soft role. It's not weak. It's soft.
Give love and teach.
It's the loving part of a relationship, and of a home life and of a family. The mother is the one that teaches how to write thank you notes.
Yes.
When a child gets a gift for birthday or whatever, the mother says, now we write a thank you note, and here's how we do it. Yes. And you teach a child, how to do that. That's one of the soft behaviors. It's a kind behavior. It's a thoughtful behavior. So I see mother in that role of being the soft one, where dad is a little bit more pushy, and to empower and to strengthen and to bring out the strength of a child and bring out the strength of the family. Mm-hmm. Good too. Both of those are right and good. But children need to have that soft kindness that comes from mother. And when she's not in the family, when she's not in the picture, children lose a lot. They lose an enormous part of life that's very, very important. So that's how I kind of see the mother in the American culture. I think also she's a connector. She's the one that connects the child with the soccer team.
Yes.
The football team that you call it.
Yes.
She's the one that connects the child to the school. She's the one that goes to the school teacher and negotiates and works out with things for the child. She's the one that makes sure the child gets to church. She's the one that sure the child has friends and goes to the friends' homes. She's a connector. What's good for the children? What's best for the children? She's the one to see that that gets implemented and gets taken care of. Now, Dad has a role in that, is to help think that through and make the funds available to play football or to participate in an event. But she is the one that kind of helps it come together. So that's why I call her, she's the connector between the child and the community, the child and the world. She's the one that plans the trip. She's the one that plans the future. She plans the schooling, plans the homework, plans the bedtime, plans the lifestyle of the child. So without her...
It's natural role that we have.
See, without her, a big part of a child's life is missing.
Yes.
And then the child has to figure that out himself. And many men don't do that very well. Some do, but not very many do that very well in the absence of a mother. So then the child really misses out on that soft part of life. And just being able to love and be able to care and be able to be empathetic and be sympathetic and to be compassionate, that's mother. We need mother for that.
Yes, no changing. And role of men in the family, you tell exactly.
Yeah,
strong.
kind of in contrast as we've been talking, but I think this, Dad is a provider. You know, he's the primary provider. Generally, he works more hours, and generally he makes at a higher rate. Whether that's right or wrong, that's a difference to us. But he tends to be the provider of the funds, and the provider of the home, and the provider of the food, and the provider of the lifestyle. He provides for that. So, but that isn't his only responsibility, just provide and then kind of go. But the provider is a very, very important part, that he helped the children understand that you provide good things because you work hard, because you work long hours, because you go to school and you get educated, and you get a higher level of job, you get a higher level of income from a higher level of job. That's being a provider. That's teaching the child that you can be a provider, but you don't just take the low level. You improve yourself, you educate yourself, you train yourself, you get skills, and then you get better jobs and higher income, and then everybody benefits from that, so that when you have a family, you provide for them, and then they, in turn, do it for their family, and so on.
What's happening with the family who have absent father, and the role of mother is totally different. Mother is like mother, father in the one person. And what you propose for this family, and how important, and now you explain, because you are the men, you are the professor, you are the man, you are the father.
Sure.
You have the every role, and you are the best person. I know how your wife is lucky.
Yeah.
And because you help to provide the family, and
Sure,
you management
that's right.
the family,
That's-
and you are
that's what a man is to do. He's
all
to be-
of this role,
Be
yes.
involved and to be connected
Yes.
and to work alongside of and to plan with and to communicate with and to do things together and to be part of the family, not to just say to her, then the family's hers to take care of. It's yours as well, and you need to be part of that. But when a father is not there,
Your message to the man who is not there in the family house, how the men need to take care for the family and children. This is very important question, because many men just thinking, I want to doing this, but my ex-wife stopped me. Or the man, the father who work too much, it's like workaholic, work all day,
Yeah.
just give money, but the children is lost. And the
yeah,
children
a
have
man
the
can
money.
be absent from the home two different ways. One is that
Yes.
he's just working
Yes.
and gone, or he's socializing, playing golf and all that. So he's really gone from the home.
Yes.
That's one way. The other way is that he divorces or he
Yes.
separates and leaves the kids to themselves
Yes.
and leaves the kids to the mother. And he just is absent. That's another way for the father to be gone. Very bad decision for the kids. if you take the homeless people, okay, go to any city and
Yes.
take homeless people and you talk to them, 90% of them were in a home where there was not a father.
Oh,
90%. So that's what's going to happen to these kids. If you are a father and you're not in that home and you're not in that life of that child, you're putting that child at risk and is likely to have no future, basically, and just flounder in life and become homeless. Go to any prison and you interview
Right.
those people in prison. You ask them, did you have a father in the home? 80% of them say, no, my father was not in the home. So what happens to these kids that do not have a father? They end up in prison.
yes. It's
Go to
lost.
the schools of dropout when they don't complete education. They don't complete high school. They don't go on to college. 72% of them did not have a father in the home to enforce education and to encourage education and to bring it to be an important part of life. Absent fathers is a bad thing because children suffer. You look at the teen pregnancies. 80% of these girls that become pregnant when they're teenagers do not have a father in their life, do not have a father in the home. It goes on and on and on as to the social problems that these children experience when they don't have a father.
Don't have authority in home.
An authority person.
Yes.
A person that puts his foot down and says, no, you don't do that.
Yes.
Or, yes, you do that.
Yes.
Or we do this today and we do this tomorrow.
Yes.
And, a man that is thoughtful and is kind, but is directive, in the life of the family and life of the children. Now, the important thing is to remember this, that if you're listening and you're a father, you're not in the home. Here's my message. Go home. Get home. Now, there's two ways of doing that. One is to work out the deal and get back into the relationship with the family, negotiate and have some forgiveness and have some
Yes.
reconciliation. That's
Yes.
the way to do it. But if you can't do that, at least get back into the life of your child and make sure that every week you're in the life of that child for a day or 2 days or whatever it be, that child has regular contact with you as the father. And you can take the child for dinner. You can take the child for lunch. You can meet the child for breakfast. You can take the child to a game. You can meet the child and take him to the doctors. You can do those things. And you don't have to live in the home.
Be part of life.
You can be part of the child's life. You can be the father to the child. But you have to stop being selfish.
Yes. Oh, yeah, this is a big problem.
That's the key. You got to stop being selfish because that's the idea of a father not in the home. He's selfish. He wants to do his own living, his own life, and does not want to be part of the life of the child. And that's dangerous, and it's destructive, and it's abusive. That's a father that's abusive. I even came up with this idea that in the government could have a fund that if a father is out of the home and will make a decision to go back into the home, if you go back into the life of the child, that father gets a donation, or that father gets a check from the government for so many dollars for spending time with his kids. Mm-hmm. How many hours he spent with his kids. It's kind of like giving a father $1 per hour for spending time with his kids. And recognizing the importance of that
For
and
future
the value
children,
of that.
yes, everything for future children who next serve the life to the
Sure.
country.
I mean, the government gives money for people not to work.
yes.
Why don't we give money to people to go home and be with their children?
Yes.
That'd be constructive.
This is very good investment.
Yeah,
for
that'd be a good
future.
investment,
Very
to
good.
do.
We need to ask Elon Musk because Elon Musk is good. Anytime have the best idea. We don't need to go to the cosmos, but we have possibility to the moon. We just have possibility develop here the future, the children to live correct and have the good psychologies in the brain because any restriction stay in the brain in the head what we have, and the message from the all husband and father go to the family and be with your family, with your children. This is the best investment ever. It's not just money. Of course, we need to work hard, make money, pay from the school income and etc. and food, but the best investment for all children
Yes.
is to time when we spend
Yeah.
together.
You'll appreciate this research study. Back in the 60s, there was a research study done, and what they found was that the fathers are the one that motivates girls
Yes.
to succeed.
Yes.
Now, fathers motivate boys, but they motivate girls much more to be a success, to go on to school and to do well, to get a job and to get a better job and to succeed into government areas, succeed into executive positions in companies and so on. And it's the father's influence. And how does he do that? Well, here's how he does it. He gets on the floor and he plays with the little girl and he says, "You can do it. Try it. Try this." You know, gets blocks and gets games and things like that. And when the child gets hesitant and fearful, the father says, "You can do it. Let's try it. Come on, we can do it." And then they do it together and they achieve. And then they do something harder and they achieve that. Then they do something even harder than that and they achieve. So you teach a girl how to be an achiever, how to build things, how to do things, how to try things without being afraid. And then as the child gets older, that child develops what we call the motive to achieve.
You're talking about me because my father is the best, for example.
Is that right? Tell me.
Yes, my father, I am 67, and my father teach me anytime, and when I am younger, give me the historical books. He's professor history, and he teach me to the history lesson, psychologist lesson, and he always tell me, one day you will be teacher of history, of psychologists, and you're doing this.
That's the idea right there. When he says,
And
you
he-
will do it, you can do it.
Yes, you're doing. And he just tell me, you're doing when you will be older, you work in TV, you're doing this, because I always say, oh, in TV this lady looks very well. One day you will be go. One day you will be doing this. And not will be, you're doing. This is important too. And he give me the power. He show me the path for the happiness and for the successful.
Sure.
What you explain now to me, it's very, very important.
I'm wondering if your father knew that was important to do, or if he just did that as that's his nature, that was his personality, that was
He
his
left
lifestyle.
psychologist, but I am not sure he know what he doing.
Is that right?
I think it's the nature, his nature.
It's important, and even if a father doesn't understand that, it's important that that's how the father relates to his children. And I'm going to include boys and girls in this because I think it applies to boys, but more so to girls, because girls seem to learn from fathers as
Yes.
being fathers are an important figure in their life. And when the father says, "You can do it," when the father says, "Try it," when the father says, "Let's do this together. Let's succeed.
Yes.
Let's undertake this. Let's conquer this. Let's succeed in this." That tells the child a great deal about himself, and he knows he has a backup. He knows he has support and he has encouragement, and will try things, and then lives a life of trying new things, and like you have done.
Same the role of mothers. When mother believe for the child, that's girl or boy, we give just wings to the child. And next we need to push his up and he fly and he's successful. This
like
is
that.
the role. I always tell about my son, then I just give him wings to fly and to be successful man. And when he finish now 30, I tell this is time to be with another woman who will be your wife and develop your life. And this is amazing. But this is very hard for me, like for every mother, to tell the child, I love you always. You are my child,
Yes.
but I give you the wings and now you are free. And after 3 months, my son changed a lot.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but it's amazing part to work about this and change the habits, the children. But first we need to change
I'll
ourselves.
change your analogy just a little bit. Maybe the mother gives the wings or gives the permission for the wings to operate. The father is the muscle, is
Yes.
the bone, is the strength of those wings.
Yes, the spine.
And that's where the strength comes from. And then the wind comes underneath it. That's the environment, and that's what's going on in the world. And that's where you then travel. You follow that wind.
The family, the mother and father, for me, it's like eagle. The father is the fundament in the span in this family, and the mother is the wings, and everything need to be together. eagle without wings don't fly. And,
Sure.
we are need to be together. And my job, it's like yours. I want to connect to everybody and show the women who work very hard how important is to clean your family in your home and develop the best relationship. And next step, if you go work, you have successful company. Because many of your questions who come to me, it's how to develop the successful company. You don't develop, you don't have possibility to be successful woman if you don't have the fundament and don't have peace and calm in your heart, in
Yes.
your brain, in your soul.
Yes.
Everything is connect, everything. And you need to understand the successful family and peaceful in your house give you the power to develop your success.
It's important what you're saying there, because what you're saying is that you have to have this view of the future. You have to have a view of what you can become. You have to have this view of the opportunities, the potential of a child, the potential of anybody. You can't just wallow in what your life is today. Today may not be a very happy day, and your circumstances may not be very good today. Always keep your mind on the idea that there's a better day to come, and we're going to work towards it. We're going to try. We're going to achieve it. We're going to achieve it together, whether Dad's in the home or not in the home. But we're going to work together as a family. We're going to work together as mother and children, because we have to keep in mind that there's a better day, and there's a better opportunity, and there's better chances, and there's a better life than what we have today. Stop getting so wallowed up in your circumstances today.
Yes.
We're just going through. Today is just a passage. We're just going through it. But what we really want to keep our eye is on that future. That's the goal. That's the objective that we have to achieve and we're going to work towards.
And how important is the respect the two people? It's like wife and husband. Because I meet many people and in the world, and the respect is everything. If people have respect to himself,
Yes.
and this is big work, but if you have loved each other, the respect is very easy. And the how important is the respect in the house when you have children? Because we're talking about discipline, but the parents is like mirror for children, and next develop his family.
Yes.
And respect for me, it's everything.
It's a model. It's an example
Yes.
of how to live. That's what parents do. They create the example. And then you say, here, do what I do. Follow me. And that's why it's important for a parent to walk the step first, achieve, and then say to the kids, come and follow me. And then there is respite. Then there is peace. Then there is quality of life. Then there is success and achievement in life when we live that way. But we can't have really success or achievement or peace in our life when mom and dad are not together. They're not together physically, or they're not together in their own emotions or their own intentions or their own plans or their own desires, for the child. It's a team.
Yes.
And we have to kind of keep that in mind. And when that team breaks, the children suffer.
We're something missing all the time when we don't have
Yeah.
everything correctly. It's true, body is need to the hands and legs, everything need to be properly, and same the family. It's big job to make the family to be happy, but if you have any question and you are busy woman or busy man, please go ahead and feel free to go to Dr. Allan Hedberg clinic and meet with Dr. Allan Hedberg, and you have more answers for every your question, and your life stay much more easy.
Yeah. You said something very important. The American culture, let me come back to that. Not necessarily that we need to be happy. The American culture puts emphasis upon being successful, being achieving, moving forward, moving upward, advancing, coming up with new ideas, new creative objects and toys and play and things that we do. The productivity. That's the American way. Now, certainly happiness is part of that.
Yes.
but we see happiness as being a byproduct of living a life of success and achievement, not as the goal itself to be happy. The goal to be happy itself is kind of flat, doesn't lead you anywhere. You might get along with everybody, but not be an achiever academically or
Yes.
occupationally. So the American way is a little bit more emphasis upon the productivity and the achievement.
I know, and what I learned last week, what we have dream is different dream for everybody and in different houses, but the dream need to be one, to take peace and calm in the heart and brain. And many times we just work very hard, we lost the time to be connect each other and spend time with family. We buy more big house, we buy the luxury car, we buy much more expensive clothes and handbags and shoes. How many shoes, how many clothes you have? You
Why
need
do
it.
we do that? You see, we do it because we can do it, but we really do it to prove
Yes,
that we've succeeded,
yes,
that we're successful, and that
Yes.
we've achieved. Those are the evidences of
Yes.
success. And maybe that's not good, but that's why we buy all this stuff, is that we can show the world
yes.
how successful we are.
How we are rich. But richness and luxury life, for example, for me, is to be healthy, happy, walk, sit, and I don't need too many products. And I learned this maybe too late, but never is too late and never is too early to learn this. Then I packed last week 4 boxes and I give to my friends many my clothes, what I don't need in my house, because I exactly learned, and the happiness is the happy family, happy wife, happy husband, and
Yes.
make happy children to all of
They
us.
do. They do. I wrote a book, Kids Alive. Kids Alive was written to teach children critical words, key words. And those words are to guide life and how we live so that we achieve. So I subtitled it in terms of running the race of life. And you need to have words, you need to have ideas that help you run the life and you run it successfully. The words such as, I can do it. The words such as no.
Oh, yeah.
A very important word to understand.
Yes.
You know, the words such as I can, I will, thank you, please. The words that make you successful in life. And I have a list of around 50 of those words that every child must know. Now, every child knows the word no and knows how to spell it. But do we know what it means? Do we know how to live by it? Do we know how to obey the word?
Oh, this is great. Kids alive. Yeah. How when we tell no, we are much more assertive. And the assertive learn, it's very, very important. And if you have any problem in your life, please visit the Dr. Allan Hedberg Clinic. And you have many of answer. And last, I propose my books. Okay. Your Path to Happiness. It's the book for mature people, how to be happy.
It's a very good book, by the way. I've read it.
Thank you.
And you've covered the topics very nicely in there.
I try.
From a physical point of view, medical
Yes.
point of view, as well as from a social and marital point of view. You did very nicely.
I read 250 books and 200 articles, and I put in one book, so it is very difficult to doing to short version.
Sure.
That I doing. And thank you so much.
Hey, good. Thank you.
I always love to meet with you, and it's very expression topic and talk to you. It's very nice. And I believe this is first, not last time, the second time with you. But I want more and more, and we need to develop the special intelligent emotional class for all of us to learn.
We'll do that.
We do it.
We'll do that.
We do. We do. Thank you so much. Power of life for women.
Seniors can oftentimes have feelings of loneliness, loss, and sadness. Now is the time to motivate your mind and body. World-renowned author and motivator Katarzyna Dorosz can help mature adults renew their lives. With her selection of self-help books now available on Amazon, seniors can learn how to feel happy again, more independent, and enjoy what life has to offer. Older children can learn how to help their parents, improve their life habits, and be happy again. For more information, visit our website, purchase our books on Amazon, and learn to be positive for the rest of your life.
Aqua Nails Spa is the most luxurious nails and spa salon in Fresno and Clovis. Our staff are friendly, courteous, and highly skilled. Come in and let us pamper you. Located at 1398 Shaw Avenue in Clovis, California, on the southwest corner of Shaw and Sunnyside. Also located at 1850 Herndon Avenue, Suite 111 in Clovis, California.
When you get hungry, remember Barbecue Bob.
Location is 409 Fresno Street on the corner of Fresno and Jones on the Golden West side of Fresno. The phone number is 559-375-1259, and we invite you to come out. You will not be disappointed.